When we first meet Mitsuri in the story, she along with Kyojuro, they were the two Hashiras who stood out to me the most. Maybe it was because of their two's hair color, but mixing it with her cute and very adorable personality, she was a character I was instantly fascinated with. So today we'll be going over her life all the way up to and before the Infinity Castle arc. This video will include major spoilers from the manga, so you have been warned. I've done a video covering her before. That video was ages ago. So this is the newer and improved version, you can say, on the Lovehashira Mitsuri Kanroji. Before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel as I cover a lot of Demonslayer content related on the channel and will continue to do so going forward. With that out of the way, let's just get into it. Mitsuri was born amongst 5 siblings and displayed an unnatural strength at a very young age through her unique muscle composition, shocking even her mother, who herself was known for her strength. She grew up eating much more than the average person. She developed an unnatural hair color, stated to be a result of overeating too much sakura mochi, which led to her being seen as a freak and unable to proceed with a previously intended marriage when she was 17. After this rejection, she dyed her hair black, pretended to be weak, and forced herself to eat at a normal amount in an attempt to fit in more with the other girls, even if it negatively impaired her well-being. Shortly after making these adjustments to her physical appearance, Mitsuri was approached by a potential partner. However, she became doubtful over whether or not pretending to be a different person would truly work out for her in the end. At some point, her partner left her or she left them. It wasn't actually confirmed in the story. Short while after that, Mitsuri met with Kagaya Obayashiki, who told her to reject normalcy and embrace who she was, that her strength was a gift. Because of this encounter, she joined the Demonslayer Corps and used her skill and ridiculous strength to rise all the way up to the status of Hashira. While in the Corps, she also adopted her idea of finding a man stronger than her to marry. However, this did not work out because other than her fellow Hashira, she was way stronger and more skilled than the rest of her fellow members. She began working with Kyojuro Rengoku, and in a battle, she developed her own breath, the breath of love. During the Hashira meeting that was taking place at the Obayashiki estate, that is where we first meet Mitsuri in the story. And right away, she stole the show with her ever-lovable personality and charm. Shinobu knows that Tanjiro is on trial, while Mitsuri thinks about the potential killing of Nezuko with uneasiness. When Obanai demands to know what punishment Giyu would receive for his role in their subordinates' actions, Mitsuri braces his persistence as well as Giyu's aloofness. Later, she questions whether or not they should make a decision on Tanjiro's trial without their master's input, suggesting they wait until he arrives. Shortly after that, Sanemi arrives. She braces Sanemi's increase in scars and Shinobu's sternness with Sanemi's actions. The Lovehashira's expression of praise quickly turns to horror as Sanemi stabs Nezuko, but just as quickly turns to laughter when Tanjiro headbutts him, much to her mortification. During the Mugen Train arc, we see Mitsuri shocked and mortified over the death of Kyojuro. Although we never actually see the two's relationship at full display in the story, we can assume that the two were very close based on him teaching her the breath of the flames. Even though she was too weak to master the flame breathing, she adopted her own style and made it the love breathing, basically finding her own way of fighting the demons. During the Swordsmith's village, when Tanjiro reaches the hidden Swordsmith's village, he loudly thanks Ekakushi for safely taking him there. Mitsuri, while relaxing in a hot spring, says that she hears the echo of a thank you and her heart is pounding. Later, after Tanjiro speaks to the chief and starts making his way up to the springs, the Hashira sees Tanjiro and comes running towards him in tears. She tells Tanjiro that she tried to ask for the name of a boy, but he ignored her even despite her status as a Hashira. We later, of course, find out that that boy was in fact Genya. After complaining that the high spirits she received from the hot spring was lost, Mitsuri is told by Tanjiro that their dinner is almost ready and that it might include masutake mushrooms. Mitsuri is immediately cheered up and walks away happily singing a song. Tanjiro, Mizuki, and Nezuko eat dinner together, and Tanjiro is amazed by how much the Hashira can eat, even despite her claims that she didn't eat in as much as usual. Her appetite encourages Tanjiro to also eat a lot of food and become stronger. Tanjiro then remembers his encounter at the spring and tells Mitsuri that the boy she met before was named Kenya Shinozugawa, and Mitsuri immediately realizes that Kenya is actually the younger brother of the Wind Hashira, Sanemi, even though Sanemi had told her he did not have any siblings. She figures that the brothers do not get along and that it must be a sad experience since she gets along with her 5 siblings. Tanjiro becomes worried for Kenya since he still had not arrived to eat his dinner. While playing with and hugging Nezuko, Mitsuri assumes that perhaps the reason why he hasn't arrived was that he told the Swordsmith's village townspeople that he will not eat at all. Tanjiro then decides to bring Kenya some leftovers, and Mitsuri enthusiastically supports the idea. Mitsuri then sings while holding Nezuko's hand, and then Tanjiro suddenly asks her what her motivation was behind joining the Demonslayer Corps. At first, she is embarrassed and hesitant to tell him, but soon after, she confesses that she did it to find a man who would marry her for the rest of her life. She then goes on to blissfully speak about how girls like men who are stronger than them and can protect them, and joining the Demonslayer corps, it would allow her to meet many strong individuals. Tanjiro is then quickly surprised and speechless, noted to have the same reaction as every other person who heard her reasoning. Then the three continue to look for Genya when Kakashi comes up to them and tells Mitsuri that she is needed at the swordsmith workshop to finish touches on her sword. Saddened at leaving the Kamado siblings, Mitsuri denies Tanjiro's offer to escort her out and replies that she will be alright. She then gives him a kind smile and tells him that even though they might not see each other alive the next time they meet, they should continue trying their best. She praises Tanjiro on surviving a battle against an upper rank. This infallible experience will translate to an incredible boost to his training. Mitsuri also says that Tanjiro is much stronger than before when they last saw each other, and that she completely supports him and Nezuko. Tanjiro thanks her and announces that he couldn't have won without Tengen Uzui's help, but he will continue to work harder to defeat Muzan. Mitsuri is then happy to hear his words and whispers in Tanjiro's ear that there is a secret weapon in the village that can make him stronger, advising him to look for it. She then leaves with the Kakashi and bids farewell to Tanjiro and Nezuko. Later, when the village is attacked by Upper Rank 4 and Upper Rank 5, Mitsuri quickly returns to the swordsmith's village from her own district, while Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya are in the process of fighting Hantenku, Upper Rank 4's different forms. She quickly races towards the main houses where villagers are being attacked by Kyoko's mutant demons and swiftly cuts them down. She finds a humongous mutant fish demon beginning to crush the chief of the village after already killing his demon slaying guard. A bloody bystander tries to get up to save him, but Mitsuri tells him not to get up because his internal organs are most likely wounded. She then quickly uses love-breathing first form, Shivers of First Light, to easily kill the demon and says that her heart will never throb for those who hurt people with sick jokes. Techin then falls from the mutant fish's grasp and Mitsuri safely catches him. Her eyes tear up as she tries to see if he is still alive, and the chief comically says that he must be in heaven since he is being held by a cute girl. She seems surprised and calls him a little bird as another wounded villager asks her to take his hand since he fell on his head too. Mitsuri instantly asks and makes sure if he is okay, and the bystander is immediately relieved. Later, when Tanjiro is swallowed by one of Sohakuten's tree dragons, one of the forms of Upper Rank 4, Mitsuri slices the creature's head in half, carrying Tanjiro on her back safely. She squeals at the monster's size and questions what it is, then asks Tanjiro if he is alright, and that it's a good thing that she made it in time. After putting Tanjiro down, she tells him to rest and doesn't hear him try to tell her that the demon is Upper Rank 4. She confronts Sohakuten, one of the forms of Hantenku, Upper Rank 4, telling him in a disciplinary way that his pranks have went too far and she will be taking Nezuko and Genya. Sohakuten tells her to shut her mouth and that he only takes orders from one person and calls her a harlot. Mitsuri is visibly in pure shock from his rude comments and thinking that he looks as young as her little brother, even though the most demons are much older than they seem to appear. The hatred emotion clone lashes at Mitsuri with crazed cry of thunder death. Tanjiro calls out to her hand without hesitating. She uses love's breathing, third form, cat love shower against it. She declares that she is getting angry, and though Sohakuten may look like a child, his actions are still unforgivable. Tanjiro is then shocked at how well she suppressed his thunderbolt, and the demon seems a bit impressed by how she cut through his attack itself. Mitsuri then continues to battle against Sohakuten. She dodges the crushing hit of Maple Leaf-like fan and uses love breathing second form, Love Fangs. One of the three dragons throws another attack from its mouth, but she evades it with sixth form, Cat Leg Winds of Love. The demon realizes that she is too fast and is keeping up with his attacks. The demon then uses a blood demon art, countless striking trees, lashing out many wooden dragons at her. Mitsuri becomes a bit nervous at how wide ranged it is and questions if she can get past it. She then strikes him back with love breathing fifth form, Swaying Love Wild Claw. She gets past the attack and comes very close to Sohakuten. The demon opens his mouth, confusing Mitsuri, though she brushes it off and goes for his neck. Tanjiro quickly yells out to her that he is not the real body and he will not die if she cuts his head off. The Lovehashira realizes her mistake and is fiercely hit by the demon's compressed sound waves. She loses consciousness and slumps before the upper ring. Tanjiro screams out to her as Genya and Nezuko try to break free from the wood and help her. The demon is then flabbergasted by how Kanroji maintained her body shape and withstood his attack head on. He notices that she might have tensed up all her muscles before his attack and that she is no ordinary girl, her strength not matching her looks. He thinks she has high quality meat, but decides to crush her brains and skull in, pulling back his fists. As he is about to kill her, her entire life flashes before her eyes. She wakes up as Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Kenya fall on her and pull her away from the demon. Tanjiro exclaims that they have to protect Mitsuri because she is their ray of hope and only chance of winning, and that none of them are going to die. The demon then launches another attack, but Mitsuri cuts through it fairly easily. She cries as she thanks everyone and says sorry for messing up. Even though she is a Hashira, she still cries. She says she won't let any of her friends die. The Demonslayers are her precious home and that she will not lose to evil people. And it is finally time for her to get serious. Mitsuri then remembers everyone who has been a support in her life and states that she will protect everyone without fail. She runs at the demon, slicing through his wooden dragons, and then she thinks to herself that she needs to get her blood circulating and increase her heart rate to become faster and stronger. Sohaku then tries to hit the siblings and Genya, who are trying to find the main body, but the Lovehashira stops him in his tracks. The upper ring then notices how much faster she has gotten and wonders how she did it. Then he sees some sort of a birthmark close to her clavicle that he hasn't seen before, resembling a demon crest. He throws another attack, but Kanroji continues to cut it, making him extremely annoyed that he can't kill the others. He knows that she won't last forever and that sooner or later she will run out of stamina. Right as Kanroji feels as though she is going to die, Tanjiro kills the main body, and right there and then Sohaku then crumbles to dust. Mitsuri, relieved, falls to the ground and cries tears of joy, exclaiming that they must have cut Hantenku's head off, who was the original demon and upper ring 4. She then runs up to Tanjiro, Nezuko, Michiro, Kenya, and Kotetsu and pulls them all together into a group hug. She cries and rejoices that they won and that it is awesome. She wails that they're alive and thanks the gods, with Nezuko repeating after her. During the Hashira training arc, there is an emergency meeting held in the Obiyashiki state between the Hashiras. Obana asks how both Mitsuri and Michiro are doing. Kanroji declares that she is feeling a lot better and happily thinks to herself that they're worried about her, while Michiro says he is not at his full strength again just yet. As the Hashira discuss amongst themselves, Amane, Kiriya, and Kanata Obiyashiki arrive and begin the meeting in place of the ill Gaguya Obiyashiki. Amane apologizing for the way Mitsuri along with the rest of the Hashira bow before Amane. Amane speaks about how Mitsuri and Michiro had gotten to awaken the Demonslayer marks during their battles, and she asks if they could explain how to get them and what the conditions are to maintain them. Mitsuri questions what she means by marks, and Amane explains to the Hashira. When asked again to inform how to get the mark, the Lovehashira thinks to herself, Mrs. Obiyashiki is wonderful, and she starts to explain very excitedly how she felt during her fight. She enthusiastically states that her body was super light and that it was like, and she basically couldn't explain. There is an awkward silence as everyone is shocked by her explanation. Very embarrassed, Mitsuri bows her head to the ground and says that she is extremely sorry and that she will go hide in a tiny hole. When Michiro tells of his state, Mitsuri turns her head to him and looks at him in surprise as he explains deeply. Amane thanks them and she says she has one thing to say regarding their mark training. Mitsuri tilts her head slightly and asks what it would be, with Amane answering that those who have displayed the mark must participate in a training to help basically anyone and everyone to awaken their Demonslayer marks. After the Obiyashiki leave, Tomioka says that he will not participate in this training and leaves as well. Mitsuri holds out her hand toward Giyu and seems reluctant for him to leave. When Senemi is angered by the Water Hashira's words, Kanroji says no fighting nervously, but Senemi charges towards Tomioka. Mitsuri exclaims no multiple times before Gyome loudly claps his hands and stops everyone in the room. Tanjiro later narrates that after Tenken's stamina training, Kanroji handles the flexibility training. He also says that those who already have the mark will train so that they can continuously stay in their quote-unquote marked state. As a picture of Mitsuri standing on Michiro's and Tanjiro's knees and Nezuko laying on the ground is shown. When Tanjiro reaches the Kanroji residence, Mitsuri waves to Tanjiro and happily welcomes him into her home. He thanks her and says he is glad she is doing okay. She replies that she feels the same way. Tanjiro asks if she keeps bees at her home and claims that he smells honey. She then proclaims that he figured it out, expressing her love for making honey and putting it into her bread. She then leads him to the kitchen while she says she loves her bread with tons of butter too, and to pour black tea in the afternoon. Mitsuri tells Tanjiro that she will make him some pancakes, but he is confused on what the food she is saying is. During her training, it is shown that Mitsuri makes all members dress in a ballet clothing and elegantly dance non-stop to the beat of music. Tanjiro describes flexibility as hell, where she apparently stretches everyone with just her strength alone. This is where I will end the video, as I am planning on to make a video basically where I go over the entire arc of the Infinity Castle arc. So definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel if you made it this far. And with that said, until next time.